Just a quick reminder guys, these narrations are best enjoyed with headphones on. Ladies and gentlemen, start your emulators. It is time for another episode of Retro OS, the show where we give you a recommended dose of nostalgia by reviewing games from your childhood. This is Tails9 here from Sonic Prime here. Again, the emphasis is on the 9. And in this episode, we take a look at one of the most recognizable games of the N64 catalog. So is this game worthy of remembrance, or should this game be lost forever in the pages of gaming history? Well, without further ado, let's find out. Okay guys, this review is more of a follow-up to this year's Halloween special, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and is requested by one of my friends at my local karaoke night and fellow retro game enthusiast, Ted, the Hero of Time. For more information as to why this alias was chosen and what he did to deserve this nickname, please check out our review of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. As usual guys, a link to this review will be found in the video's description and at this point in the written version. Anyway, for now, it's on to 9 for the review itself. Okay 9, it's over to you. Thanks James. So, Nintendo Star Fox is another one of massive franchises Nintendo has in its portfolio. In recent years, similar to a lot of big franchises of the 90s, for example Unreal Tournament by Epic Games, the JRPG classic Earthbound from Nintendo, and Wave Race again from Nintendo, the developers simply left these franchises in a permanent back burner while holding on to the rights of these franchises, thus allowing years of creative talent to go completely to waste. The first game of the franchise was released in 1993 with Star Fox, co-developed by Nintendo and UK-based developer Argonaut Games. Earlier in this year, Argonaut Games reformed, releasing the remaster of one of the PlayStation era's most beloved classics, Croc Legend of the Gobos, which is, by the way guys, one of James's first games he's ever played. In recent years, the sequel to the original Star Fox was uncovered and re-released as a part of the library in the SNES Classic mini console, released in 2017. This long-lost classic was also released as a part of Nintendo's commercial emulation service, Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack. And so, the short tour of the Star Fox franchise ends in 1997 with Star Fox 64. Okay, excuse the interruption now, but I've got a fun fact for you guys. Did you know that Star Fox 64 underwent a name change in European and Australian territories? Oh really? Do tell more. This was the second time that entries of this franchise underwent a name change in Europe and Australia. The original Star Fox for the SNES was also known as Starwing in Europe. One of these reasons behind this particular name change was to avoid a copyright lawsuit. Okay, this is really dodgy, please explain more. Well, at the time, there was a German company called Starvox. Okay, I think you guys can put 2 and 2 together. Now there is quite a few reasons why, but obviously this could be a potential topic for a future Retro OS video. Okay, so Star Fox 64 was originally released exclusively for Nintendo 64-bit powerhouse, the N64. It was released as a reboot to the franchise and to take full advantage of the N64's superior hardware capabilities. For a start, the N64 was powerful enough to render fully 3D graphics, and the Rumble Pack, a peripheral that was connected to the rear of the N64 controller, made greater immersion of the gameplay itself. The game takes place 2 years after the event of the original entries of the series, Star Fox or Star Wing in Europe. The war between the Canarian Army and our antagonist, disgraced bioweapons engineer Andros, was still raging. The forces of Venom launched a surprise attack on Canaria, the 4th planet of the Lylat system. You play as Fox McCloud, and it's up to you and your newly formed Star Fox team, along with Peppy Hare, the survival of that fateful mission which claimed the life of your father, Sleepy Toad, your team's engineer, and Falco Lombardi to defend your home planet, then to mount a counterattack against Andros and avenge the death of your father. Now the accessibility scores are as follows. To kick things off, visibility, James scored a low 7. Due to the game's age, there are no colorblind modes in its interface. However, there is no need for one. There are no color-coded elements that cause an issue for a colorblind player. However, as par for the course for a rail shooter in the 90s, screen flashes do occur. This is mainly prevalent in the boss battle and the asteroid field. So, epileptics, make sure to play this classic in a well-lit environment. A well-lit environment is a safe way to play video games and watch movies if you have epilepsy. So, despite the shortfalls, this game is very easily playable for a player with visual impairments. Next up, audibility, again I scored a 10. All dialogue in this game are subtitled during cutscenes and in missions. In addition, the speakers' heads should appear to the left of the subtitles themselves, so this game is quite easily playable for a player with a hearing impairment. Next up, mobility, James and I scored a 9. In the native N64 version, there is no way to refine the controls. This is very important as the standard N64 controller can be very difficult to use for a player with a mobility impairment. On the other hand, the controls of this game are very simple. You use the analog stick to move your fighter around the screen, A button to use your laser, hold down then press to fire a homing shot, B button for your bombs, C lift to boost, C down to brake, but the more advanced maneuvers which is come into play during all range mode, for example somersaults, will be very difficult to perform. So this game is very playable for the player with a mobility impairment, but flaws do still exist. To round things off, gameplay, James and I scored a 10. For a rail shooter, for example, House of the Dead and Time Crisis, action! This is a fairly good experience. There is quite a few mechanics which make this game truly unique. For starters, flying through silver rings repairs your ship. Flying through 5 gold rings in a single level increases your ship's integrity, allowing you to soak up more damage. Also, keeping your team alive is another important thing while playing this game. If one of your more squad members gets shot down, that squad members will be unavailable for the next few missions as your ships go in for repairs. When comparing to the game's predecessor, Star Fox from the Super Nintendo, the jump up is quite marked, mostly thanks to the more powerful N64 hardware. The graphics of this game is a lot more detailed, the gameplay is a lot smoother, and the combat is a whole lot more streamlined. The levels are loaded with secrets, for example, upgrades for your lasers, additional bombs, and those all-important supply rings. In terms of lifespan, Star Fox 64 takes 2 hours to beat. Although this may seem a little short, but when it compares with other rail shooters, for example Time Crisis, action! Which takes 53 minutes to beat, and House of the Dead taking 50 minutes to beat. So this game is actually quite long, with a versus battle with up to 4 players, so you can invite your friends over for some multiplayer dogfighting carnage. In summary, Star Fox 64 is a solid rail shooter with a fair few mechanics which makes this game stand over its prequel and other titles of the subgenre. In total, this game has 6 to 7 missions, depending on the route which you are taking. In my opinion, this game is a fairly good excuse to dust off that console, hook it up to your TV, and revel in the nostalgia. And the overall score is a fairly decent 90%. This is Tailsign here, assistant head of the Retro S team, signing off, and I'll see you guys in the next review.